Hello and welcome to Hughes of the World, finally. Sorry about the little delay getting started there. Bit of a muck up with the old, the old streaming thing. Decided to be a pain in the arse. But, what can you do? Anyway, so a big shout out this afternoon, this early evening to Billy Kershaw. Benjamin is in the chat. We've got Anne Phillips in there as well. We have got Diz and also Michael Warner and Sarah Davis, hello, and others. If you'd like to join them in the chat, all you need to do is press that subscribe button. Let's find out about Djibouti. So, Djibouti, what do you know about Djibouti? Well, it's tiny. It's this little place called Djibouti. In Djibouti. Do you want to see where Djibouti is? Should I take you? Should I take you to where Djibouti is? Here's Djibouti. Well, here's the planet. Here is Earth. Here is Africa. It's huge. Africa's huge. And then over here, we have Ethiopia. This is going to be important later, so pay attention. I'll make the text a bit bigger. The word Ethiopia has disappeared. Oh, no, it's come back now. That is Ethiopia there. If I can let my pointer point at it. Ethiopia! Down here is Somalia. This is the Horn of Africa, because it's shaped like a horn, like a rhino's horn. That's why it's called the Horn of Africa. And here we have Eritrea and Yemen. And then we have little Djibouti. What's little Djibouti doing there? It's having a good time. That's what little Djibouti's doing. It's having a great time. Down here, Djibouti. It is located in what we call the Horn of Africa, bordered by Eritrea, here to the north, Ethiopia to the west, and Somalia to the south. The coastline is on the Red Sea. So this is the Red Sea here, giving two fingers to the world. Hello, Red Sea. Like that. So you can see it's the Red Sea. And it's also just a stone's throw away from Yemen. In fact, you can skip over these little islands on the way, if you like. Not far from Yemen at all. And here is Djibouti. This is Djibouti city here. It's a landscape. If it would allow me to show you the terrain. No, I wanted the terrain. The terrain, thank you. It is very, very deserty. It is super duper deserty, because this is the thing, right? As I've already explained on earlier episodes, if my map would like to update sometime today, please, thank you. This whole area here is on the Tropic of Cancer. This area down here is on the Tropic of Capricorn. This bit here, with the equator going through it, is on the equator. And you see the equator's very green and very tropical. It's got like Indonesia and Borneo and Papua New Guinea and New Guinea in general. And then it goes all the way across the Pacific, and then it goes through Ecuador, named after the equator. It goes through Colombia, it goes through Brazil. It doesn't go through Equatorial Guinea, strangely enough. Equatorial Guinea is a little above it. But it goes through Gabon, it goes through the Congo, and it goes to the Democratic Republic of Congo. And then you would think that Kenya would be tropical as well. And it is over to the west. But over here, it's quite deserty. And Somalia is quite deserty as well, even though the equator goes through a bit of Somalia. So this area up here, this is all the Sahara Desert. And then down here, we're entering this bit of a strange region, because you would expect it to be a bit more tropical than it is. You see all this bit down here, this green bit, nice and green and lush, steamy, sexy, green jungle. Well, it's up here, it's all arid. But because of the climate in this area, because of certain positions of mountains and of the way that the air flows around the Indian Ocean, etc., this is desert as well. So Djibouti, very, very deserty. Balsatic plateaus, salt flats, and volcanic mountains. Its notable features include Lake Assal and Lake Gublet there. So you got Lake Assal here, and you got Lake Guber, and also the Goda Mountains as well. And you can see the sort of the mountainy area here. And if you ever feel like coming to visit from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia on a bus, remember that when they say 3 a.m, they mean 3 hours after the sun rises. So they mean 9 a.m. So don't turn up like a dickhead in the bus station at 3 o'clock in the morning, because you'll find the bus station closed, nobody there, because they actually meant 3 hours after the sun rises, not 3 a.m., but you know, that other temperature. What is the time? 9 a.m. Anyway, so if you are so minded, you can get a bus from Addis Ababa to Dire Dawa here in Ethiopia. And you see this language under here. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it looks like little dancing men. That is Ethiopian language there. And you can get a bus from Dire Dawa up to Djibouti. You can't actually see the road. Where's the road? Show me the road. Oh, there it is. See this little grey bit here? This is the road to get into Djibouti. So it's a little tiny bit. It's a little tiny bit. Why is it so tiny, Graham? I hear you ask. I don't think you are. But it's because it was originally part of this one country called Somaliland, which went from Somalia around here to what's now Somaliland to Djibouti. But these got split into Italian Somalia, which is down here, British Somalia, which is around here, and Djibouti, French Somalia, which was around here. We'll get into this in the history section, but, you know, it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is, man. So, yes, it is a strategic choke point on the Bab el Mandeb Strait, connecting the Red Sea. The Red Sea here. See, it's red. It's blue. The Red Sea to the Arabian Sea. Oh, actually, to the Indian Ocean. Which is the Indian Ocean, just above where I am here. Hello, I'm in the Indian Ocean. So yes, it is. Its proximity to Middle Eastern trade routes and shipping lanes is absolutely vital. You got to understand that when boats come through this little narrow bit here, essentially, look how narrow it is. All boats need to go past there. Good strategic place to have a port, eh? And the thing is, Djibouti, unlike many of its neighbours, is fairly stable. So let's have a look at its neighbours. Somalia, super unstable. Eritrea, super unstable. Yemen, super unstable. All three of them are having pretty much civil wars at the moment. Refugees, you know, coming into the Europe from Somalia, from Eritrea, from Yemen. But Ethiopia doesn't have a port. So I'm sorry, Ethiopia. You used to have a port, but you don't anymore. So basically, Djibouti is where all the boats stop before they go north into the Suez Canal, which is up here. So see this little finger that sticks up here? The end of that, there's Suez, and it comes out at Port Said. And you can truck along there. There's Bitter Lake in the middle, the Great Bitter Lake. If anyone watches Adam Curtis documentaries, that's where it is, peeps. And yeah, we won't talk about Israel today. We might get bogged down. But essentially, this is where all the ships stop along the way. There's so many ships stop here because it's a lot safer than stopping in Massawa, in Eritrea. It's a lot safer than stopping in Somalia or in Yemen. So they just generally stop in Djibouti, which is how Djibouti makes all its money these days. Also, it's got a lot of military bases in Djibouti as well. But we will come to that later. So the climate is, as I've said, an arid desert climate. Minimum rainfall, annual precipitation rarely exceeds 130 millimeters. 13 centimeters a year. 13 centimeters of water a year. And people live here. I mean, are they crazy? I don't know, maybe. But that's all they get. For comparison, in Bocas del Toro, where Ginger Island is, in Panama, we get over 3 meters of rain a year. 3 meters! That's insane. It is true. It is a bit crazy. Temperatures often exceed 40 to 45 degrees during the summer. The coastal areas benefit from sea breezes, but inland it is absolutely scorching. Now, I was lucky because I was there in December of 2009, so it was relatively cool. Like, it wasn't cold, but it was relatively cool for this place. So then, the time zone is East Africa time, or EAT, as in eat your greens, which is 3 hours plus GMT. So the GMT plus 3 hours. So you can see Britain up here, right? So you draw a line down. Well, you can't draw a straight line, but you know, a bendy line. So it's 1, 2, 3, and there we go. We have our little Djibouti here. We have no daylight savings. We'll have no daylight savings here. Which, I mean, it's not really required. This is the thing that you'll notice. There's countries that are closer to the equator tend not to have daylight savings times. There's no point in having daylight saving times because when you live that close to the equator, it gets light at around 6 a.m. and it gets dark around 6 p.m. every day all year round. Pretty much, give or take. Yeah, we'll zoom into the Djibouti City, which is the capital of Djibouti. It's just called Djibouti, easy to remember. So this is Djibouti City down here. It's a coastal, bustling port city. It's got a population of 600,000. It's got a home to parliament and presidential palace and key foreign embassies. European-style cafes sit next to Somali tea stands and US jeeps next to camels. Should we go and dive down? It ain't half hot, Mum. You're not half wrong there. Oliver, should we dive down? Should we get the little man? Should we see if the little man can go down there? Can the little man go anywhere? Is there anywhere we can go? Is there anywhere we can visit? Can we visit any of these roads, please, in Djibouti? No, nowhere in Djibouti for us to go. That's sad. Oh, I was trying to grab hold of the little man and put the little man down somewhere so I could show you a bit more of Djibouti. But it's not letting me do that. It's not letting me show you any more of Djibouti. Oh, that's sad. Okay, so I'll go to satellite. Bum, 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 satellite of love. Now, you see this red and white cat in the hat thing going around here. That's not actually there. That's just put on by Google. So don't worry. It's just showing me where Djibouti is in case I get lost. This is the port here, where you get lots of ships coming in the port here. There's more ports over here. There's ports here. There's a port there. There's a port over here. And there's loads of ports, right? So there you go. And there's St. Kay's Yard over there, if you want to go onto the sand, I guess. It's quite a small city. Here is the landing thing for the planes. You see here, it's got an 09, which means that it is at 90 degrees. And that means that on the other side, it should say 18. No, not 18. It should say 27. Should it 27 on the other end? Let's have a look. Does this work? It says 27. Look at that. How did I know that? Just if you know, you know. So there's the airport, and there's some planes there, which is nice. Now, if we go south of the city here, we go past these little places here, and you'll go past the American military. There's an American military base. Oh, God, there's a big embassy. Let's have a look at the embassy. Woo! There's the US embassy, which is solar-powered by the looks of things, which makes sense because they get a lot of sun. But if we go south here, I do believe, maybe it's not on the map. Maybe it's not on the map. What's this? What's this here? Djibouti Industrial Development. A likely story. There's a US military base down here, but you probably can't zoom into it because you get into trouble with the American military. I don't know. Anyway, if you want to visit Somalia, you can cross at this border. It's pretty easy. You can go along here, ask to just go over the border into Somalia, and you can go and visit this little town on the border, which I did, and then say, hey, everyone, I'm in Somalia, and get some Somaliland money, because this area of Somalia isn't really Somalia, it's Somaliland, which is the old British Somalia with the capital at Hargeisa over here. This is Somaliland. They have their own flag. They have their own parliament. They have their own everything. But yeah, if you want to visit a safe part of Somalia, you can visit Somaliland, which I think should have independence, but that's another story. So anyway, this is Djibouti. I would love to have zoomed in there and had a little walk around the city, but it won't let me. So I'll just jump over back onto our main view here. Oh, hang on. Get the titles again. I don't want the titles again. Stop doing that. It's really annoying when it does that. Okay, so the currency is the Djiboutian franc, because it used to be French Somalia, or French Somaliland. I keep getting that wrong. Somaliland. And it's set at a fixed rate of 178 Djiboutian francs to the one US dollar. US dollars are widely accepted in the capital. Credit cards are accepted in large hotels and expat spots. It drives on the right. The flag here was adopted on the 27th of June, 1977, Independence Day. Not a bad flag. Not a bad, as flags go. I think this is a pretty good one. I like it. The sky blue is for the Issa Somali people, and the sea and the sky, which is nice. Green is the Afar people and the land, even though it's not green, it's brown. But, you know, we're splitting hairs here. The white is peace. Oh, that's nice. And the red star is unity, independence, and socialism. Don't tell the Americans who are stationed there. These American Navy people going, I don't like socialism. Leave me alone, socialism. I get really angry about socialism. And there you go. Lots of socialism going on in old Somalia. No, it's not Somalia. Djibouti. In old French Somaliland and Djibouti. So there you go. The etymology of the name Djibouti. It comes from, well, there's a few theories. One theory is it traces back to the Afar word Djibouti, meaning plate or shallow bowl, possibly referencing the low-lying basin of Lake Assal. Another links it to Gabood, an old Somali word for meeting place or marketplace. Some scholars suggests it might be derived from Arabic roots, as Arabic has long been a liturgical and trade language in the region. And the area's role as a coastal trade stop for caravans and ships may have contributed to its naming. But yeah, one theory is it means plate or shallow boat, like the River Plate, which means plate. Actually, it's the Rio de Plata, isn't it? In Spanish. There's no single origin is confirmed, but the name most likely reflects a mix of Afar, Somali, and Arabic influences, much like the country itself. So, world-class geopolitics, as we saw on the map, it is at that choke point. So all trade coming from China, all trade coming from Japan, all trade coming from Australia, all trade coming from Malaysia, Indonesia, from Vietnam, from Cambodia, you name it, Philippines, India. The Middle East, like all trade coming from Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Oman, all the trade. So all our gas, liquid natural gas that we import from Qatar comes along that little choke point. So it is, strategically, it's up there with Singapore of being like, that's a cool place to be. Like, that's where everyone has to stop. They all have to stop. Unfortunately, it doesn't have very good neighbours in that respect, but yeah, I suppose if they had decent neighbours, then ships might stop somewhere else, but they don't. They stop here. So it hosts military bases for not just the US, but also France, China, Japan, and Italy. Indeed, it does. The little hussy. The little hussy. Oh my God, Duke Vengeance fell asleep. I'm sorry. Wake up, Duke. I'm talking about Djibouti. I think it's an interesting place. Lake Assal. It's a lot of hassle getting to Lake Assal. Is the lowest point in Africa and one of the saltiest lakes on Earth. Its capital, Djibouti City, is home to more than 70% of the population. There's no permanent rivers at all in Djibouti. It's all fresh water is from rainwater, underground wells, or desalination. Djibouti sits on the Afar Triple Junction, where 3 tectonic plates meet. Earthquakes and volcanic activity are fairly common. Djibouti has no lyrics to its national anthem. It's entirely instrumental. I'll be playing that to you in a moment. But just like with Spain, you don't have to sing along and pretend to know the words of the second verse. Like, do you know the words of the second verse of God Save the King? Because I fucking don't. I mean, you might, but I don't. It's entirely instrumental. Islam is the state religion, but the country has historically embraced religious tolerance. With it being on the water, that makes sense. Like, you'll see this. Travel the world. The more inland you go, the more inward-looking people tend to be. The more on the coast they are, the more outward, liberal, anything goes, boho, chic, let's dance at 3 o'clock in the morning they tend to be. One of the hottest countries in the world, often over 45 degrees or 113 degrees Fahrenheit in old money in summer. The chewing of cat, see people chewing and spitting, is a daily ritual for many Djiboutians, and the railway to Ethiopia is a major economic artery crucial to both countries' trade, because without it, Ethiopia would be proper freaking landlocked, because it doesn't get on with any of its other neighbours. So it really doesn't get on with Eritrea. It's been fighting a war with Eritrea since I was born. On and off, but that border is a border that you don't want to go near, the border between Ethiopia and Eritrea. It is mined. It's mine. It's not mined. It's just mine. Mined. No, it's not mine. It's just mined. Also, the borders with Somalia. I mean, Somaliland is fairly okay. You can cross that border, and if you want to cross into Somalia, that is the best place to do it. It's a safe place to do it. It's where I did it. So, go with God. But be aware that you should stay in Somaliland, that part of Somalia. Don't go into Somalia proper. Well, the next bit along from Somaliland is a place called Puntland, which is another autonomous region of Somalia, and that's pretty grim as well. Like, there's a lot of shit that goes down. Whereas in Somaliland, I don't think any tourists have been attacked for a very long time. You might be able to find one, maybe. I don't know. Look it up. But this isn't an episode about Somalia. We're talking about Djibouti. So back to Djibouti. Like I say, it is a very interesting place, and we're going to talk about the national anthem now. I think we're going to play. I have the national anthem ready to play for you because I'm nice like that. Just let me, I'm wearing the wrong hat. Look at this. It's my old hat. That's my work. I was working in the garden. That's my work hat. I can sweat into that one. Don't want to sweat into this one. Showing you behind the scenes here. I shouldn't be showing you stuff like that. Break the illusion. Break the illusion. He's only got one hat. He's had the same hat for 25 years. Don't you know? I haven't. It's been different hats. It's been different hats. You're going to be calling me Graham Two Hats Hughes now, aren't you, you bastards? Anyway, right, let's listen. Should we all have a listen to the wonderful, wonderful theme tune? This is the theme tune of Djibouti. So let's have a listen here. This is the national anthem of Djibouti. I'm hoping that it'll actually play and that I haven't muted. Oh, here we go. Quite like it. It's going dippy on the snares. I like that. It's getting a bit fruity with the cheese whiz. Yeah, I can live with this. Oh, hang on. It has got words. Wikipedia, you lied to me. Have I to strength for we have raised our flag? The flag which has cost us dear. It's got words. Well, Stone the Crows, I was wrong. That's what you get for believing stuff that you're told. Cameras are not allowed in Djibouti, says Michael. They are. The Horn of Africa. Are you horny for Africa? I'm horny for Africa. I love Africa. The everlasting green of the earth. Are you kidding me? Have you been there? It's got a bit of green. It's got a bit of green. Blue of the sky and the white. Colour of peace. The sense of the red star of blood. Oh, now the red star's about blood, is it? That's not what it said before. Song about the flag. There's a dromedary camel. Oh, do you know what? I preferred it before they started singing. And those two. Says G.J. Thomas. Normally go to a fancy dress party with a stick in my bum. We'll go with the taffy. A flag of ours, what a glorious sight. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? That was nice. I think that was nice. Do you think that was nice? Let me know in the chat if you think that was nice. That was the national anthem of Djibouti. It was okay. It was okay. It was okay. I liked it. It was good. It was kind of uplifting. Do you know what I mean? It had that little snare drum. I always think of that. That makes me think of the desert. You know, that snare sort of sound, you know, bolero, the music from Lawrence of Arabia, you know, a bit of a snare in there, like a little rattlesnake. Not they have rattlesnakes in the Arabian desert, but, you know, Saharan desert or whatever desert it is, the Djibouti desert. Yeah. Anyway, so the title of that was Djibouti. It was composed by Abdi Robler in 1977. And like I say, there are no official lyrics, so they must have been unofficial lyrics. It's played during formal ceremonies, flank raiding events, and military parades. Okay, so the population of Djibouti, obviously, is a really small country. It's just got 1.1 million people living there. And it's got quite an urbanized population, with 78% of the population or thereabouts living in Djibouti city. The main ethnic groups are the Issa Somali, they're 60%, and then there's the Afar people, and then the 35% of the population, and the other 5% is minor Arab, French, and Ethiopian communities. They're a very youthful population. 50% of the population is under the age of 25. There's a blend of Afro, Arab, Somali, and French cultures there. It's a highly communal society with a big emphasis on hospitality. Really good coffee as well. I'll mention the coffee a few times because the coffee's fucking fantastic around there. Ethiopia, Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia, they take their coffee very, very seriously, and it's fantastic. So they have extended families and clan networks, which play a crucial role in their society. And cat, which is this thing that they chew, it's like a mild narcotic that they chew. Cat chewing is like a social ritual, and also you have evening storytellers. And the street food culture over there is fantastic and it thrives. Football is a national passion, but they've had limited success on the world stage. Not surprising, really. There's a tiny population, just over 1 million. Also popular are judo, athletics, and camel racing. So you sometimes get some camel racers from Djibouti competing in United Arab Emirates and also in Saudi Arabia, where they have camel races quite often. They have limited freedom of the press. Independent journalism is rare. They have a heavily state-controlled media landscape. The main newspaper is La Nation. The internet access is growing, but censorship and surveillance are genuine concerns at the moment. And we have also there was a marathon runner. Sorry, I forgot to mention 1988 Olympics marathon runner Ahmed Salah. He won the silver medal in the 1988 Olympics. So there you go. Religion. So Islam is the main state religion. Sunni, predominantly Sufi traditions, and the Sufi Muslims are the whirling dervishes side of Islam. So it's more of a peaceful, I would say, mystical side of Islam. So it's kind of like a equivalent of, I want to say, there's a sect in Judaism, isn't there? That's quite like mystical, into the mystical arts and things. Kabbalah, is it? I don't know. It's kind of a little bit like that. But if you ever see a whirling dervish, which is just fantastic thing to go and see if you're ever in Egypt or Turkey or somewhere where they have them, they're generally Sufis, so they believe in sort of spinning around until you commune with God, whereas or Allah, peace be upon him. If the other sects of in Islam hear about this, they get a bit upset because they don't think that's the way you should do it, and but generally Sufi people are more peace loving, and they just want to get on with their lives rather than angrily tell everyone else that they should join their religion or die. Not that happens these days, because everyone's just dead chill about religion. So it's moderate and tolerant. There is a small Christian minority. They're mostly expats, but they're actually protected by law, which is good in Djibouti. The architecture there is traditional Afro-Arabic architecture with thick-walled homes, as you could imagine, and open-air courtyards, which work in a way that draws hot air in, and then it circulates and cools it down for the people in there in the shade, because it's shaded, because it's a courtyard. And this is a good way of creating houses, homes, places that people can stay in during the day, during the hot tropical sun, or the hot arid sun, I should say. It's an architecture style found all over the Middle East, all over North Africa, all over Southern Europe, until we decided to build everything out of concrete, because that would be great, because concrete doesn't hold heat. It does. Concrete jungle effect. Anyway, the government's investment in art is minimal, but there is a lot of cultural pride in Djibouti. Artistic expression is generally through poetry, but also oral storytelling, which is a big thing there. It's like getting everyone sitting around and they'll tell a story, like C-3PO talking to the Ewoks. Dance and calligraphy is a huge thing there. So if you ever wondered why you go and see something like the Taj Mahal, it's covered in calligraphy. It's covered in this beautiful Arabic script all over it. And you don't notice until you get quite close, but it really is, and it's magnificent. If you ever go to Arabic buildings anywhere from Morocco all the way to Indonesia and everywhere in between, you will see geometric shapes and patterns and things all interlocking, amazing interwoven shapes. One of the reasons why a lot of Arabic art, a lot of Muslim art is like that is because there's a rule in Islam against drawing living things like animals, humans. This is why drawing a cartoon of Muhammad is bad. Well, drawing a cartoon, if you're Muslim, of anything is rather bad, because you're not supposed to use your art to create images of people, of the Prophet, of Allah, or anything like that. Unlike in Christian art, where it's like, oh my God, I can't draw enough pictures of the Virgin Mary and baby Jesus and Jesus on the cross and, and God pointing to Adam and Adam pointing back. like that bit in Reservoir Dogs where they're putting the guns at each other. But yeah, it's the reason why. It's the reason why it's all calligraphy and these geometric patterns and things like that in Arabic art. Why it's so strong is because they weren't allowed to draw pictures. But in various sects. I mean, in the past there were images of Muhammad, images of Allah that were drawn by different sects of Islam, of the Muslim world, but that tends to get kicked to the curb in more sort of recent times. Anyway, so let's talk about the food. We've got the staples, which are the sour pancake, the sabaya, flatbread, camel stew, spiced rice, and goat meat. Goat meat. Even influences are Somali, Ethiopian, Yemeni, and French. So it wouldn't be unusual for you to get some kind of like Ethiopian dish there, which is you get this big pancake. It looks like a big savory crumpet. Imagine like quite a thick pancake, but with all those little holes in that a crumpet has, and you put all your different food on top of there. And you break it off with your hands and you eat it like with the pancake. You eat the plate essentially. Obviously, it's on a plate, but you don't eat it off the table. But it's fab. It's really really cool. If you ever get to go to a Ethiopian restaurant, I really really recommend it. They do some beautiful beautiful dishes. Like I say, the influences come from around Djibouti. I don't know if there's any particular Djiboutian food that is distinctly Djiboutian, because a lot of this stuff cross-pollinates. It used to be part of its own place, it was part of Ethiopia, or what came before Ethiopia at one point. It was part of Somalia, it was part of the French Empire at one point, so a lot of those different influences came to the fore. The beverages are spiced tea, which is very big in Djibouti, but mainly strong black coffee, which is It's good. Trust me on this one. The other thing they drink a lot of is camel milk, which is fucking disgusting. Like, honestly, I can't. Oh my God, my eyes are watering thinking about it. I've drank it, and it's horrific. It's like salty milk. It's like warm, salty milk. Yes. I can't even think about it. It's horrible. Alcohol is legal, kind of, but it's limited to expat zones. So for the general population, it's quite hard for people to get hold of alcohol, it being a Muslim country and all. Independence Day is June the 27th, as I said, and they have military parades, music and dancing. Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha are widely celebrated. And the Prophet's birthday, Mawlid, is marked with prayers and cultural events. In cinema, look, domestic cinema is almost non-existent in Djibouti. I don't think anyone's made a film about Djibouti, but I think they maybe should, because international media often portrays Djibouti as a military hub or a pirate zone, which is a little bit unfair, because that's sort of Somalia and Yemen, which are next door neighbours, but it's not their fault. Some French and Somali documentaries have focused on daily life and climate challenges. I'd love to do a movie that was a bit like Captain Phillips, a bit like Under Siege, and it's one of these gas containers that's coming through that little strait that we saw, right? That little pinch point, and it gets taken over by pirates. And those gas containers coming from Qatar, like, you're allowed like the electrics on these things have to be absolutely insulated, like you would not believe. I don't think you're even allowed to wear like clothes of synthetic material. You're not allowed to wear a watch on board, because if one of those things goes up, if one of those gas ships explodes, it will burn the skin off someone standing at about 10 kilometers away. I mean, yeah, the explosion would just be off the chart. So you imagine, like, you have a film where they come on with guns, but no one can use a gun, because if the guns are used, it'll blow up. I don't know that would happen in real life, but make a great movie, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Yes, Graham. Let's make it. Is there a Hollywood producer watching this? Come on, let's talk. I've got a million stories like this. Come on, let's do it. Every time I watch a film at the cinema and it's the same story that I've seen a million times before, I'm like, I've got a better idea. Why don't we Die Hard on a boat that could explode at any moment and kill everyone in the surrounding area? Yeah, it'll be good. Right, and don't think you can jump in the water to get away from the explosion, because it will boil the water. It will vaporize the water around this. You thought that the explosion that happened in Lebanon in Beirut a couple of years ago. You thought that was bad. It would be bigger than that. It would be bigger than that explosion, which like that looked like a nuke going off. My God. So, like I said, there's a strong oral tradition, and especially Afar and Somali poetry. There's a few published authors. There's few published authors, but themes often focus on clan loyalty, love and exile, and the sea and the desert. Effectively, that's what Djibouti is about. It's about the sea and the desert. Writing is often done in Arabic or French, or even in local dialects. The sites and activities, you've got salt harvesting, you've got surreal views, you've got total near silence if you go over to Lake Assal. You can also go to the whitewashed port town of Tadjoura, which is the oldest port town in the region. You've also got Dik Hill, which is not a hill of dicks. It's a gateway to the Grand Bara Desert. You got the Gulf of Tadjoura, which is good for diving, for whale shark tours, and for some, it's absolutely stunning and unspoilt for a change, coral reefs. And there's also the Day Forest National Park. It's a forested oasis in the Goda Mountains. And you don't appreciate a park as much as you do when it's in the middle of a desert. That's what's wonderful about oases. They're little miracles in the desert. You're like, how can this exist? But they do. Life finds a way. That'd be a good line to put in a film. I think I'll write that film. I'll put that line in. The budget you need for each day is probably about $50 for your hotel, for a budget hotel. For a mid-sized meal, you're looking at about $10, $15. Not that different from Britain, really. For a shared taxi, you're looking at $2 to $5. If you want to choose some cat, you can. It's about $5, $6, $7 a bundle. You do have internet access there. It's expensive and patchy, but I mean, when I was traveling, I didn't have a problem with it. They just had it at the hotel. I think anywhere you stay, you'll probably just have internet, so don't worry about it too much. Travel warnings. So it's safe in the general area of Djibouti, but obviously with having borders with Eritrea and Somalia, you might want to watch out. Watch out for heat stroke and dehydration because it's so fucking hot. And ID checks are common, so don't go anywhere without your passport. If you do, make sure you got a photocopy of your passport. Same-sex activity is technically legal, which is quite unusual in this area, but it's very socially taboo. There's no protections against discrimination, unfortunately. So if you are gay or lesbian on your traveling, a low profile is strongly advised, but that just goes for the whole fucking area. Like, just things are changing, but I don't know. Things were getting better in America until they weren't. Hey. So getting there and away, main airport is the Ambuli International Airport that you saw on the map there when I was showing you. It's just south of the city. There are direct flights from Paris, Dubai, Istanbul, Addis Ababa, and Nairobi. The land border crossings are open with Ethiopia, which I crossed, and also Somaliland, which I crossed. But logistics can be tricky. You've got to make some friends. Make some friends. Always make friends. When you're traveling, just make lots of friends. Talk to as many locals as you can. And be nice. Smile. Just be nice. Yeah, so I mean, like, if I could give any advice to people traveling, is just be nice. Just don't get in a grump. There is occasionally a ferry service to Yemen, but as you might imagine, since Yemen is currently in the midst of a civil war, that ferry service is not very reliable. No, it's not. It's not running. Forget about it. Visa is on arrival for many nationalities, although I had to get my visa, I think, in advance. From Nairobi, but I don't think you have to do that anymore. An e-visa system is also available, and French citizens and some African countries get preferential access. If you are going to go there, you need your Hep A, Hep B, typhoid, and tetanus vaccines are very much recommended, and also malaria pills for inland travel if you're going away from the coast. If you're just going to be on the coast, you're fine, you're okay. But if you're going inland, please take some malaria pills for reasons that I've explained in earlier episodes. Only drink bottled water. Don't drink the tap water, and avoid raw foods in street markets. Okay, so and the Garden of Eden isn't a problem. Garden didn't exist as we know them. Life finds a way, except for dinosaur life. There is no dinosaur life. Yes, there is. There's birds. Birds. I'm imagining Graham's budding career as a filmmaker being cut short due to excessive plagiarism. So if I tell you an idea, I've honestly got about 99 more. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. Like, just... the problem is with me, right? This is it, right? I want to make 37 movies, or at least write 37 movies, and I'm running out of time because I'm 46. 46 it takes a year to make a movie. Might take longer. I don't think I'm going to last that long. which is sad. But I'll try and whack a few out before I cark it. I'll see. Benjamin, I said I would die in Djibouti. Would you? I got really bad sunburn where my entire back and shoulders were burning from working in the field. Well, Benjamin, don't bloody take your top off. I'm ginger, so I burn like a motherfucker. Like, I'm burned, but I cover myself up. Like, I go everywhere I went when I was traveling was in jeans. Like, I didn't wear shorts at all because I just burned the back of my legs. I wore jeans most of the time. I got a hat on, so that covers my face. I wore a t-shirt, and I always made sure I had a bit of sun lotion on the back of my hands and stuff because the back of my hands would burn. And I went to some of the hottest countries in the world. I was in Dubai in August. I was in Dubai in August for a month. And managed to survive that. So, life finds a way. Please start an episode where everyone spits out interesting facts. Okay. Has anyone got some interesting facts about Djibouti? 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. America goes progressive, and then Alexa Mann, who took them back to the 30s overnight. UK goes progressive, but is turning in on itself after a few years. Yeah, because the old conservatives, they wanted to go back to the way it was when they were kids, which is sad. Anyway, so let's talk about the history. So from the 1st to the 7th century AD, it was part of the Ascomite Empire. It was one of the great African civilizations based in what is now northern Ethiopia and Eritrea. The Ascomites once controlled crucial Red Sea trade routes connecting Rome, India, Arabia, and Africa. Djibouti's coastal regions, such as Obok and Tajuva, acted as important trading posts and caravan hubs. There was culture and rituals. The Ascomat society blended African and South Arabian traditions. They practiced ancestral worship, animal sacrifice, and solar cults. They used to worship solar panels. The empire left behind coins, inscriptions, and ruins on the Horn of Africa, including archaeological traces in Djibouti. Aksum was also a major center of early Christianity, which started spreading across the Red Sea via missionaries and monks. Don't forget, if you look at the map of Africa, Somalia, Muslim, Djibouti, Muslim, Eritrea, 50% Muslim, 50% Christian, Ethiopia, pretty much, the majority Christian. And because the Ethiopian church is possibly the oldest Christian church in the world. They have a bit of an argument with the Armenians over this one, but I've got to say, right, the way to a traveller's heart is through his stomach. And the best kebab I ever had was in Armenia. However, the best coffee I ever had was in Ethiopia. What do I do? I can't pick one over the other. I'm going to give it a no-score draw. Okay? Whoever got Christianity first, respect. If you want to claim you've got it, respect. If you don't worry. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, No biggie. I'm happy for either of you to tell me that you were the first, and I will smile and nod, and I will not argue. I will not argue because you've both made a friend of me. What can I say? So anyway, arrival of Christianity, along it comes, in the 4th century AD, which arrived through the Ascomite expansion under the reign of King Ezana, who converted to Christianity in the 4th century AD. The faith spread across Ethiopian highlands into Afar and Somali regions of Djibouti. However, conversion was limited in the arid, sparsely populated lowlands. Christianity's foothold in Djibouti would be overtaken by Islam in the following century. So the 7th century onwards, this was the Islamic expansion. Djibouti was one of the first regions outside of Arabia to be touched by Islam due to its proximity to Mecca and Medina. It played a role in the Hajj, the Hijra. It played a role in the Hijra, which was early Muslims fleeing persecution. They found refuge across the Red Sea in the Horn of Africa. Islam spread rapidly through trade routes, migrants, and missionaries. The powerful local sultanate arose at this time, including the Sultanate of Ifat and also the Al-Dal Sultanate, whose warriors would often clash with Ethiopia's Christian empire. Djibouti became part of the greater Islamic cultural world and connected Cairo, Yemen, and the Swahili coast. By the 10th century, Djibouti was prominently Muslim, with mosques, madrasas, and Arabic script widespread. Then there was the French takeover in 1862. They signed a local treaty. The French signed a local treaty with local Afar sultans, acquiring the port of Obok. And by 1888, France had established Djibouti city as a strategic port, and by 1896, proclaimed the territory as French Somaliland. France sought a Red Sea base to rival British-controlled Aden in Yemen, just across the water. The Djibouti-Addis Ababa Railway was completed in 1917, along with the movie 1917, linking the port with landlocked Ethiopia and boosting Djibouti's importance. Colonial rule heavily favoured French settlers and excluded locals from meaningful participation. Djibouti became a military outpost, a commercial hub, and a supply station for French East Africa. Then we had this wave of nationalism, this rise of nationalism. After World War II, anti-colonial sentiment swept across Africa, and that included Djibouti. The Assa Somali population largely supported independence or unification with Greater Somalia, while the Afar elites and French settlers wanted to stay with France. No surprise that the French settlers wanted to stay with France. In 1946, Djibouti became a French overseas territory with limited local governance, and key figures include Mohamed Harbi, who founded the Ligue Populaire Africaine pour l'Indépendance, and advocated, I'm sorry about my French accent, Jesus, and advocated the union with Somalia. A rigged referendum, oh, we love a referendum that's rigged, don't we? In 1958, saw a majority vote to remain French amid claims of ballot manipulation, expulsion of pro-independence voters, and Afar/French collusion. Anyway, the national unrest grew, especially amongst Somali-speaking Issa youth in Djibouti city, and there was a second referendum in 1967, which was again manipulated by France, causing violent protests in the capital. Mohamed Harbi, the main nationalist leader, died in a suspicious plane crash. By the 1970s, international pressure and regional instability, including the Ogaden War and Ethiopian turmoil, forced France to reconsider. On the 27th of June 1977, Djibouti finally gained independence, and Hassan Gouled Antidron, a moderate Issa politician, became the first president. The French retained military and economic ties, but Djibouti charted its own path as a neutral trade state and tactical Red Sea player. He was a player. Sorry, don't know why I said that. So from 1977 to the present, we had Hassan Gouled, who ruled Djibouti as a one-party state under the People's Rally for Progress until 1999. Political power was concentrated in Issa hands. Issa is a group that lives in Somalia, lives in Djibouti and Somalia. That caused resentment amongst the Afar community. So you imagine there's two groups. There's the Issa and the Afar. In the early 1990s, the Afar-led Front, which stands for the Front for Restoration of Unity and Democracy, love it, launched a civil war, which ended in a peace deal in 1994. In 1999, Gouled retired and was succeeded by his nephew. Nothing like a bit of nepotism to put your nephew in, because that's literally where the word nepotism comes from your nephew. Ismail Omar Gouled, who remains in power now. Gouled has since consolidated power through elections, which have been criticised as neither free nor fair. However, Djibouti has positioned itself as a military and logistics hub, hosting bases for, as I've said, France, US, China, Japan, Italy, and Saudi Arabia. Despite massive foreign investment, youth employment and poverty remain widespread, possibly because of corruption in the government. In 2021, Gouled was re-elected with over 97% of the votes. That sounds legit, doesn't it? In a contest boycotted by most opposition parties. Press freedom, democratic transparency, and human rights have all deteriorated. But Djibouti's strategic location, keeps global attention and the money flowing. So there you go. That's all. That's all you need to know for the the history. The history. And I've just wrapped it up. I've actually wrapped it up in time this week. That's pretty cool. I think that's cool. What have you got to say in the chat? Did you know all this stuff when you visited these countries, or did you research after? Impressed to how much you know in general, actually. So whenever I went somewhere, before I went there, I had my Lonely Planet guidebooks, and at Lonely Planet, I was working for them at the time, and they gave me every single Lonely Planet book that was in print in PDF form, which so I had information about every country I was going to. I knew about a little bit about the history of the place. I knew what language they spoke. I knew what side of the road they drove on. I knew what the exchange rate was. Oh my god! You know, like they talk about the exchange rate between the pound and the euro, and it's like, oh, that's pretty complex. And I'm like, imagine doing that 100 times with 100 different currencies, because that's how many currencies there are around the world. There's a lot. Like normally, people in this country only ever have to transfer their money into US dollars or euros, but there are a lot of currencies out there. Like lots of countries in Africa have their own currency. I mean, some of them share the same currency. Same in the Eastern Caribbean, they share a currency on in a few different islands. I'm going to be talking about that next week when we're talking about Dominica, which will be the next one. But I'm going to be honest, like I know a bit about the area and about the history of Ethiopia and the history of the Saudi Peninsula, the Arabian Peninsula, in general. But I do make notes before I do these shows, so it's not like I'm just telling you everything off the top of my head. I can't hold this many facts in my head at any one time. But generally speaking, if you were to give me a pop quiz and ask me, you know, what country used to be called, what religion it is, if it's a democracy or what kind of government it has, I might not be able to name you the prime minister or the leader, but I'd have a basic idea about what's going on in every country in the world, just from going there and experiencing it. And I think it's just a bit easier when you've actually been to a place. I don't want to sound like a twat when I say this, and I probably will, but like, you know, if you go somewhere on holiday, you might just spend the whole time at the beach, but you know, if you read a little bit about the country while you're there, you'll take in a lot more than if you weren't in the country. It's just the way our brains work, I think. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm not that clued up on the facts. I do have to make notes before I do the show. Graham knows everything about geography. I certainly don't. Djibouti was Vichy France in World War II, and Churchill and de Gaulle planned to invade, but instead chose to starve the population out instead. Bastards. I didn't put that into my history section. I probably should have done. It's amazing how he can talk off the cuff about geopolitics and history. This is why I followed him for 8 years. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Sam. Great show, says Kieran. Oh, wow, I got a super chat. Woo! Don't normally get super chats for Hughes of the World. So thank you. Thank you very much to Kieran Crossan for the £5. So I hope you learned some stuff. Oliver Brown used to read the Lonely Planet books and watch the channel, even though I've not travelled far. Honestly, the Lonely Planet history was always really good because it wasn't particularly biased one way or another. It gave these kind of objective histories of the place that you were going to. And look, I always feel this way. Like, if you're going to go somewhere, I feel like you should do a little bit of research on the place before you get there, because if you don't, it's rude. I think it's really rude. And I've met some backpackers, and they were lovely people. You know, I don't have anything against them. But they had this attitude of like, oh, I just turn up somewhere and then just, you know, see what happens. And I'm kind of like, that's a little bit disrespectful, because every country in the world has its own way of doing things. And I think it would be like going to a party that you're not invited to and not know anything about, turn up at someone else's wedding. It's like turning up. It's like being a wedding crasher. I think you should at least know who's getting married. at least know the name of the bride. That should be the least of the things that you do. But yeah, I do feel like it's a bit rude to turn up in a country, not know anything about it, not know anything of its history, and you don't know. I mean, here's the thing. So when I went to Rwanda, I read in the Lonely Planet book, and people said to me, and this was a thing also in some countries in West Africa, like Sierra Leone, don't talk about the war. Like, don't bring it up as a topic of conversation if someone wants to talk to you about it, but don't ask people, because it was still fairly recent, these wars that had gone on. In Rwanda, when I went there, the genocide was only 15 years earlier. When I went to Sierra Leone, it was only 10 years earlier that these horrific crimes against humanity were going on. And some of the places I went to, there was still crimes against humanity going on. And so you don't know. So don't ask about it. It's the same as just the general rule of you don't ask people who are single why they're single, or people ask people who don't have kids, why don't you have kids? It's like, it's not none of your fucking business, mate, you know? for various reasons. Maybe they don't want kids. Maybe they can't have kids. But if you bring it up, they don't want to talk about it. It's a bit insensitive. So knowing stuff like that. And then also you've got places like Dubai or Singapore where, honestly, if you don't do any research before you go, you could end up in a bit of a pickle if you don't know the rules there, which they're very, very strict about. So even if you're going to be entirely selfish, don't care about the place you're going to, the least you can do is like look after yourself and make sure that you know the local customs, what you can get fined for, what's legal, what's not legal. So in certain countries, I find jaywalking the most ridiculous law in the world. It is, to me, it's preposterous that you can walk in the road and these entitled drivers in a metal box that are going at 40 miles an hour think that they should be they should be allowed to plow into you because you didn't cross at a particular point that you had to get to cross the frickin' road. Like a pedestrian has to walk an extra half mile to get to the crossing because we can't let the car stop. Because how dare you even think about letting someone who is sitting down in a nice warm car in the middle of winter, in the middle of a snowstorm, how dare you make them stop? I mean, the pedestrian can walk an extra half mile in the rain, in the sleet, in the snow to get to the crossing. But yeah, so you need to know. You need to know because you might cross the road somewhere in Singapore and you might end up with a massive fine. Or Australia or some place in America where they still have stupid jaywalking rules. So just look out for yourself. You need to know a little bit before you go. So yeah, but it's also, this is what I'm interested in. It's not just like, I'll go and talk about stuff. I'm more interested in this than I am in politics. Like I would much rather talk about travel. I'd much rather get people excited and knowledgeable about the world and how it all fits together and the history of all these places because it's all interconnected. But unfortunately, I've found myself in the situation that I am running a channel called Politics Social. So I guess I've got to talk about politics a bit more than travel in general. Right, so I'm going to get going now. So thanks very much for your comments. A friend who was on a holiday sent me a photo today of a sign saying, try the worst pizza in the world, according to TripAdvisor. Thought that it was great. I love that sign. I like I remember going to New York in 1999 and seeing a guy with a homeless guy with a sign saying, please give me money for beer. I'm not going to lie to you, I want some beer. There's a sign, I gave him money. I was like, well, fair enough, he's being honest. Any country I have lived, I always read about the history, something before going there. Yeah, Kieran, and it is a bit of a weird thing when you go somewhere. Australia's really bad for this, and they don't know their own history. They've been given some fucked up, sanitized version of their own history. And it's very weird having a conversation with an Aussie when, I mean, I'm not going to say I know more about the history than they do. They live there, but there's certain things that Australia have done in the past, and I'm like, well, what about this? And people are like, oh, well, that didn't happen. Or well, really, was it still legal to hunt Aboriginals as sport till the 1920s? Yes, it was. So yeah. Anyway, bye, Graham. Great show. Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you for watching. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll be back at 9:00 tomorrow morning for Morning Brew. Hope you can join me for that. We're going to be talking about Trump's flip-flopping and possible insider trading. The bastard. And also at 1:00 tomorrow, we've got Phil Morehouse and I talking on the agenda. And then at 9:30 at night, we have the Friday Night Social. So please join us for all of that stuff. And until then, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the super chat, Kieran. Thank you for everyone who's opined in the chat. Thank you everyone watching. Give us a like on the way out. Doesn't cost anything. It's the least you can do. Like. And I hope you learned something about Djibouti today. Still, country with the best name. That and Azerbaijan. My favourite names for countries. Djibouti and Azerbaijan. I wish every country had a name that was as cool as that. So, I'll leave it at that. Until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.